Welcome. And I never thought I would have to make this video ever. I never thought Gilbert Arenas would be back on my main channel. Let that sink in, people. My main channel. We do not discuss him over here, but this is a basketball sense. So, since it's about basketball, we will keep it about basketball. And from a basketball perspective, this is insanity. This is insanity. What is actually being stated here. This is probably the biggest troll an NBA player has ever made about another NBA basketball player. Period. There's no fractions. There's no doubt. This is a horrible, horrible take. This is what they call hot takes. Except for this isn't a hot take. This is a ridiculous take. And I don't know. I guess people really don't watch that show. Because nobody that watched that show would have not come back to me and said, "Did you see this?" You know what I'm saying? Somebody would have said something. There's no way humanly possible Gilbert Arenas can say the word Isiah Thomas out of his mouth and say he's overrated, and nobody's going to come back to me with it at all. So on his very last show before they closed the doors and locked it up for about a month, we have to talk about that idiotic statement that was made. I saw some of the show and it was terrible, so I stopped watching it. But let's get into this. You know I had to get the Zeke jersey. You know I had to get the original gold. See, y'all remember the gold. Yeah. Now, I don't normally wear this one. I should have got my championship rings and brought them out. But we ain't going that far. Because this is just an ignorant statement that has to be debunked right away. It cannot exist. I cannot have this out in the world unaddressed and unchecked. It cannot happen, people. This cannot go down. Now, the fact that Gilbert Arenas is one of the NBA's most, glorified players. Now, Gilbert Arenas, in his infinite wisdom, thought that LeBron James is the top 5 greatest point guards of all time. That was his list. So if you can't, it's almost so ridiculous, I shouldn't even have to address it. I know I put glorified in there as a joke, but if this was a dig at me, it worked. For real, it worked because it got my attention. Whenever I hear something this stupid, it wakes me up. Because there's no way that could happen under any circumstances. Could Isaiah Thomas be what's what he said? Overrated? Isaiah Lord Thomas III, overrated. The man who was left off the dream team and they talk about it 25 years later was overrated. Unbelievable, man. Do you want to talk about out of my mind, shocked, just like in a daze? That was me. Mm, mm, mm. No, well, a lot of notifications didn't go out right now. So he said he never watched the Z game. Exactly. My thing is, how are you going to be in the NBA? How are you going to play this long in the NBA? And you could sit here and say such egregious things about Isaiah Thomas. I mean, personally, I think he has something against Isaiah Thomas more than myself. Absolutely. Because this makes no sense. Now, we will get around to this whole fact of the matter. Yeah, I just DM Gil to let him know, this lunacy of yours ain't finna stand. What's up, Jose? Oh yeah, we finna get cooking. I'm just trying to. It's like people are trying to like sabotage the live stream, so we're doing our best on this end to keep that from happening. So we are going to get really cooking in 1 second. Yes. Now, oh yeah, this is a problem. Well, when you are faced with all of the notions that all these guys are dealing with in today's basketball, you could make allowances for certain people, like saying, "Oh, maybe he was tired or something." But most of these basketball shows are not ran by people who even know about the legends of yesterday. So if you don't know about the legends of yesterday, then this probably wouldn't pertain to you. You probably would be one that didn't understand what was going on, why it was happening, the scenarios involved. You wouldn't know anything in these parties as to why someone would even bring this to the table or to the forefront. But when someone like Gilbert Arenas actually says that Isaiah Lord Thomas III was overrated, I was just glad one person saw it enough to bring it up to my attention. Could this been a jab at me? I know, Jacqueline. I don't know what's going on, but with the notification thing, it's crazy. That's right, G Nation. He actually made that. Well, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. He wasn't saying himself. This wasn't about Gil versus Isaiah Thomas. He was saying Isaiah Thomas is just an overrated player in general. Now, this is a person that everybody to this year, the Dream Team was about 30 years ago. The Dream Team was is older than a lot of these people that's on YouTube making videos. And yet, and still, he decided in his infinite wisdom to just go ahead and put certain people in a bracket that he felt they didn't belong. Now, why would they still be talking about Isaiah Thomas not being on the dream team was a robbery if he was overrated? Why do you think they would even bring it up? Stockton made it. So if that wasn't a big thing, wouldn't have been brought up, Gil. Wouldn't have been a big deal. They'd been like, okay, well, Stockton's better, right? Why do you think for 30 some odd years, people are still talking about Isaiah Thomas and the Dream Team? Because they know ain't no way in hell John Stockton was better than Isaiah Thomas. And that wasn't even the question about Isaiah and John. It was the fact that Isaiah Thomas was the man at that time. He was that guy. Now, if you meant to say underrated players of all time, he's at the top of the list. Because Gilbert Arenas, maybe you never heard this from me, but you should have. I think I've told you a number of times. Anybody know me and tell you Isaiah Lord Thomas III was the greatest basketball player that have ever played in the NBA that I have ever seen. Period. Nobody had more knowledge of this game and could control the game the way he could. Could no one beat the system of the NBA like he did? Could no one ever do it? They wanted to hand this thing to Michael Jordan on a silver platter and say, here you go, Isiah, you got your one championship. That's fine. Now it's Michael's turn. No, no. Lord is his middle name, 705. Lord is his middle name. I'm not calling him a Lord. Have to know what you're talking about before you speak, sir. That is his middle name. His brother name was Lord Henry. He was Isiah Lord Thomas. Now, he should have a three-peat. Of course, we can go around these parameters all we want, but we need to get to the gist of why a lot of these things actually went down, so y'all don't think I just made it up and I was tripping. Now, Gilbert Arenas has a show called Gil's Arena, right? And on this show, they have basically it's a hot take show. Right. It's a hot take show. Now, let's go into this hot take. Let's do this. Now, as y'all can see right here on his show, they were doing another dumbass list by JJ, top 5 point guards in the NBA. This is what you do when you have nothing to talk about. You say, "Oh, let's do top 10." When you come up with top 10s, that means you have nothing to talk about. You don't have a topic. You don't have anything to debate. So let's just debate top 5 point guards. A bland, clickbaity topic. You come up with these when there's nothing else to talk about, just to kick up the conversation and dirt. So Gil's list is LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, and Chris Paul. I will repeat. It is LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Chris Paul. Now, LeBron James is not listed as a point guard. Okay? Now, this list is so subjective because he doesn't even have John Stockton on this list. So, what is your criteria for putting LeBron James on the list? What is your criteria for putting Steph Curry on the list? Is it by committee? If Oscar Robinson's on the list, which Oscar Robinson is my second favorite basketball player to ever play this game, it's Isiah Thomas and Oscar Robertson. Those are 1 and 2. Chris Paul being the top 5 point guard of all time, no. Chris Paul to me is Kevin Johnson. He's a better shooting Kevin Johnson. Don't worry. You, buddy, stick around. You should be used to losing right now. You're in New York. You're a Jets fan, so you definitely should be used to losing. Knicks, Jets, Mets, woo! Should be used to losing. But we'll deal with you in a minute. We're gonna keep it right here for right now, but don't you go away. You stick around because we got something for you. Brian ain't no point guard. Well, he's mad that Isiah Thomas came out and gave him an educated opinion about the top 80 players. Gil is a very, we all can tell he's very thin-skinned. Somebody says something, he's going to want to say something back. But this is from a basketball perspective. So we'll honor his basketball approach, right? Let's see what he's saying here. Somebody else had Jason Kidd, Isiah Thomas. Okay, Rashad. See, Rashad knew what was up. I can respect this list. I wouldn't have Nash on my list. He's up there as a good point guard, but I would definitely have Magic on here. But damn, Rashad McCants, baby. I can respect
Underdog Fantasy. We appreciate y'all.
I can respect that list, Rashad McCants list. That's a decent one. Like the only person that's on there that's like retarded or out of their mind is Gil. Brandon's list, Magic. Now this is more like it. He's got Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Isiah Thomas, John Stockton, Jason Kidd. I can pretty much go with that, except for Oscar Robertson isn't there. To say Steph Curry is the top 10 point guard of all times, it's hard to say because he plays more of a 2, even though he plays technically the point. I don't know about putting him top 5 point guard. Isiah definitely is on that list. Magic Johnson's on that list. So you can see Isiah Thomas is on everybody's list except for Gilbert Arenas. So the fact Gil calls him overrated on this show takes it to level 10. Look at the look on his face. He's just there to troll. That's a troll look if I've ever seen a troll look. That's a troll. He know what he's saying is a bull. He said it because he's upset. There's no way in hell that Isiah Thomas would be overrated. That's the word he used. Overrated. To me, he was looking for something to go viral with, and hey, he got my attention. He got my attention. But to say Isiah Thomas is overrated? Yeah, that's the perfect troll look right there. That look right there, that absent-minded looking look like, yep, I see it. Troll.
Then we put LeBron in. We got to put Dame and all the other power 2 hybrids.
See, my other 5 is good too, though. But
then they let Magic bring it up. He gave 7-time All NBA, 9-time All Defensive Team, All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year. He has 21,000 points. He passed the Doc Rivers.
And you said he couldn't. I mean, John Stockton never got over the hump either.
Who?
The championship.
All right, let's do
was in the end of his career.
All right, let's do this. Let's put points on championships.
no Isiah Thomas.
Hold on. Let's do points on championships. If you are the Robinson, then I got Curry, then I got Magic, then I got LeBron.
Chris Paul better than J. Kidd? Damn, y'all. Damn.
I got J. Kidd right here.
No, he ain't top 5.
J. Kidd had 12 points, 8 assists, 10-time All-Star, 5-time Steal champ, 6-time All NBA champ.
So Chris Paul better.
Roy, when he was a champ, he was just a nigga on the team.
No, do not do that. No, do not. He was not just a nigga on the team.
Yes, he
Do not. First of all, what?
He was a valuable resource.
He hit big threes.
Hold on.
Y'all got Jay Kidd.
Hold on.
During the championship,
All right, let's do
he was in the end of his career.
All right, let's do this. Let's put points on championships.
No Isiah Thomas.
Hold on. Let's do points on championships. If you are the man when you won the championship, that's 10 points. If you was the person next to the man, you get 5 points, right? If you are one of the other guys, you get 1 point. Jason Kidd gets 1 point for his championship. Who was the most important pieces?
Dirt.
Next.
Jay Kidd.
No.
Jay Kidd.
Jason Terry, Barrera, Jason Kidd.
No, Jay Kidd. I'm running this.
He didn't even play the last.
So right away, they're debating a list that people don't seem to get. I think he must want to, Sam, because this is the way to get me agitated. This is a way to get me agitated. Now, everyone would say this about Isiah. Isiah Thomas is the best little man to ever play the game, even if they don't agree with me saying he was the best player to ever play the game. He did things no one else in the history of this game could do. No little point guard had ever done what he was doing. The game was engineered for everybody to be Magic Johnson, 6'9". We need big guards who could handle the ball like Magic. This dude played with Magic and could do everything Magic could not do, and he could do everything Magic could do. Magic just had size, and he played with the team. If you took Magic Johnson and put him on the Detroit Pistons, and you put Isiah Thomas on the Lakers win the championship every year. Once teams got smart and said, well, we don't let Magic shoot. We ain't finna just collapse on him. Why are we guarding him out there? No, we just gonna stop you from making a pass to everybody. And then see what you do. Then when he couldn't hit that shot and he became tragic Magic, and they said, oh, we figured him out. Magic was never a shooter. He was a scorer. He could score when he needed to. He can get the ball in the basket. But when they put him in a jump shot situation and they cut the lanes off, when Boston figured that out, and boy, he became tragic Magic in 86? Woo, wait. That was a bad run. But what was that? No, that was in the early 80s, like 85, like around that time. 85, 86, like around that time when he was just awful. When the Lakers was injured, Isiah Thomas lost. Y'all won a championship when Isiah Thomas is on 1 foot. And he still won the game on 1 foot. Magic Johnson quit on y'all. Y'all wasn't better than us. Y'all were getting rolled. They actually played better when Magic Johnson came out of the game. And James Worthy missed a free throw. He pulled a hamstring because they were getting rolled. Y'all know y'all got steamrolled by a dub in the first game. The second game, Magic came out. Y'all was getting rolled again, and he knew it was over. Magic knew it was over. He didn't want to get embarrassed losing Isiah, so he pulled out. Then he played a little bit in game 3, and they was getting rolled again. So he said, yeah, let me step out this game. I ain't finna get rolled this series. He ain't want to lose to his boy Isiah, so he pulled out. So y'all don't understand something that's been going on out here. Magic tapped out. He knew it was over. There was nothing they could do. 16 points in 93 seconds. Still a record. Right. They got no respect for history. They don't know history. This man should be praising Isiah Thomas. But to say Isiah Thomas is overrated, that's right, Paul Thomas. Paul Thomas said Isiah also policed the team. Guys knew the way the Pistons did business, and Isiah kept them in line. Isiah really didn't have to keep them in line. That was Bill's job, Bill Laimbeer. Laimbeer was to make sure everybody followed Isiah's orders. It was a strategic military way. Even when they walked into an arena, it was strategic. They walked in all business. They were very serious. Laimbeer was the sergeant of arms. Isiah was the general. And they followed command. That is how we went there, and we intimidated the players, the fans. They would be in fear when they saw the Pistons coming in. That's how basketball was. It was a mental aspect of the game. Nobody had a more controlled and mental aspect of the game than the Detroit Pistons. The crime and the travesty that you see today is that they show you highlights of the Pistons. They just show you the Pistons fouling somebody. It's like, well, damn, if we just kept fouling people, we would all be out the game. So how did we win? They never show you how good we really were. They don't want the public to know that. So they keep showing all these documentaries of Michael Jordan. Yeah, they kept beating on me. And then I went, and the rest of the team, we decided to go lift some weights. The dumbest thing I've ever heard a human being say. Yeah, we were all playing scared, and then we wasn't strong enough, so we had to get strong. So we started lifting weights so we can get strong, so when they hitting on me, I could take those hits. And now they can't beat us because we lifting weights, and we ain't scared of them no more. Why would you be scared of them in the first place? This is what I'm talking about. Right, nonsense. But let's listen to this.
They kids mine?
He was never in the game in the last 5 minutes. It was Barrera and Jason Terry. They didn't play
the finals.
They didn't play that man. No, we talking about we didn't play that man.
All right.
And then you want to talk about who?
Isiah Thomas?
Isiah Thomas. First of all, overrated.
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke.
Overrated?
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke. Y'all got Zeke. Hey.
12-time All-Star.
Statistically overrated, or you talking about
12-time All-Star.
You was just a Detroit fan.
I'm a
He
Detroit
was.
Pistons fan.
No, you cannot go there talking about Detroit like that. You cannot go to Detroit talking
Talk
about
about it.
No.
12-time All-Star, right? That means you're an All-Star. You're top points on championships. If you are the man when you didn't even play the last 5 minutes of the game.
They kids mine?
He was.
I'm a
Detroit Pistons fan.
No, you cannot go there talking about Detroit.
They didn't play the finals. They didn't play that man. No, we talking about we didn't play that man.
Right.
And then you want to talk about who?
Isiah Thomas?
Isiah Thomas. First of all, overrated.
Let it.
Once he said that, it was already over. Overrated. Overrated. Now, like I said, this shows that not a lot of people are really watching this show, because if it was, anybody that saw this would have brought this to my attention the day it happened. And I watched some of the show, but this is like near the end of the show. I didn't have 3 hours to sit around to give to Gil. So yeah, when this was stated, I was devastated when I heard this, because I couldn't believe Gil would actually say this. But he's mad at Isiah Thomas answering his take on the show. He's really mad at Isiah for that. He's a petty individual. So but let's listen to his logic.
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke.
Overrated.
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke. Y'all got Zeke. Hey.
12-time All-Star.
Here, statistically overrated, or you talking about
12-time All-Star.
You was just a Detroit fan. You
12
know you
I'm a
can't
Detroit fan. I'm a Detroit Pistons fan.
No, you cannot go there and talk about Zeke like that. You cannot go to Detroit talking about.
Talk about it.
No.
12-time All-Star, right? That means you're an All-Star. You're a top 24 player, right? You're a 5-time All-NBA player, meaning you wasn't top 15, but 5 times in the NBA.
They didn't like my attitude. They didn't like my attitude. I had attitude.
Michael Jordan didn't like
But you make All-Star
exactly.
Michael Jordan got nothing to do with you being
fans. Because fans vote.
Fans vote for All-Star.
My attitude.
Your play votes you as All-NBA. He was only a 5-time. So most All-Stars, like Chris Paul, you're 11-time, 11 times.
Keep going.
11-time, 11 times.
Keep going.
Y'all going with the safe.
Like Jason, like Ray Allen, right? You got 11-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. That means you were only top 15 2 times in your career. That means you're not a dominant person.
You said Zeke is overrated. Keep going.
5 times. But that's 5 times.
He's basing this off all NBA, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're talking about, people. This is when you half-ass do your job. And this is what separates a good show from a bad show. That's what separates good show from bad show. See, that was him giving his take based off what he's grabbing off the internet on a laptop rather than knowing the game. Then actually saying he's a fan of the Detroit Pistons. Now, let's get to the gist of it, please. Man, T, you missed the draft. I don't know where you was at. Man. So this man sat here and said Isiah Thomas was overrated because he only made All-NBA 5 times in his 13-year career. He says your play dictates you being All-NBA. Your play. The fans vote All-Star. Your play dictates you being All-NBA. Okay? I don't even have to argue with you. I really don't. It don't even take me to go back and forth on this. But Gilbert Arenas, how is All-NBA team selected? Look at this. This is All-NBA, people. All-NBA used to be first team and second team. There was no third team. So this goes all the way back through the history of All-NBA teams, right? So here it is. Isiah Thomas comes in the league 1981, 82. Magic gets on second team his first year. They put George Gervin in there. Isiah, 1982, rookie year, he makes second team All-NBA, right? Magic Johnson is now the man. So Magic's on there second time. Magic's on there third time. Isiah is now first team with Magic in 83. They're back-to-back, the 2 best guards in basketball. In 1984, Magic Johnson, Isiah Thomas, 2 greatest in basketball. In 1985-86, which should have been really Isiah's MVP year, Isiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, back-to-back. 86-87, Isiah is now on the second team, making his 5th straight appearance of All-NBA. See, Gil, he did it 5 years in a row. And Michael Jordan came in. See, Jordan didn't come into this year. Now it's the Jordan era. And the bad boy Pistons come into play. And right after this season came the Isiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman quote. Because how is all NBA determined, Gilbert Arenas? It's not your play. It's right here. The media, baby, which was Celtic bound. The Celtics and the Boston media and everybody else in sports media was way more powerful then. There was no internet, Gilbert Arenas. So this is what the media decides you do. So you tell me in 1987-88, where the Pistons goes to their first NBA Finals, John Stockton was better than Isiah Thomas? And Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson are going to be all NBA now, first team. That's just going to be automatic. So after this, the NBA said this isn't right because Isiah Thomas went to the finals, led his team there, and they beat Bird and everybody else, and they weren't even on the team. Bird was all NBA in 87-88, where he really had one of his worst seasons. He was still first team because the Boston media was not going to not vote Larry Bird, who was 9-time All-NBA. So in 88-89, they knew they couldn't vote Larry Bird again. Bird spent most of that time out doing surgery. So they couldn't put Bird on the list this year. So they created a third team to try to put other Boston Celtic players on there. So now Robert Parrish makes the list. The Chief makes it in 88-89. They put the Chief in there as third team. So Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, Robert Parrish were the centers. John Stockton, Dale Ellis, and Mark Price were over Isiah Thomas in the year they won the championship, while Jordan and Magic was at the top. Kevin Johnson was the next one in 88-89 when the Pistons won 61 games that year, the most games in the NBA. So in 88-90, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. They already gonna put them 1 and 2, right? Kevin Johnson, John Stockton, Clyde Drexler, and Joe Dumars has made his first All-NBA team on the third team. The next year, we had just won back-to-back championships. Isiah was Finals MVP, but wasn't better than Kevin Johnson or John Stockton. Come on, baby, it's the politics. Come on, we know what it is. Once Jordan came, Isiah had to go from all NBA lists. We know about it. 90-91, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, right? Because that's all they know to put. That's all they know to put. Magic just keep going. So he 10 times all NBA first teams. Well, he 9 first team, 1 second team. So now you got Kevin Johnson for a third year. Clyde Drexler. Stockton now has fallen to the third team. Joe Dumars is second. So they keep telling us Isiah Thomas is no longer any good, right? He just fell off the planet. But he's the leading vote getter for the starting point guard in the East every year. And that's not because of the way he plays. So this is the year Michael Jordan wins his first championship. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals after 3 appearances in a row. Isiah Thomas at this point is injured, so he wouldn't be on this list. For the last 3 years of his career, he was injured and never was the same player. So, of course, he would not be on All-NBA in his final 3 years of play. But if you don't know Gilbert Arenas, this is why you have horrible takes. Because you don't know any information. You don't do any research. You just look at all NBA, how many times he made it here, how many times he made it there. Okay, well, let's look at it. Two-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, 12-time NBA All-Star, 2 times All-Star Game MVP when no one else has ever won multiple awards. All NBA first team 3 times, All NBA second team 2 times. NBA rookie, all rookie first team, NBA assist leader in 85, the J. Walker Kennedy Citizenship Award, the NBA anniversary team for the 50 and 75. Retired as number 11, NBA champ, NCAA champion, and most valuable player in the same year, playing for Indiana in 1981. All-American, consists first team All-American 1981, USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year in 1980, McDonald's All-American in 1979. I mean, I don't think I need to even do this. This is embarrassing. Gilbert Arenas, this is embarrassing, bro. It literally is embarrassing for you to have such a horrible take. That is an awful take. That is a very horrible take. Isiah Thomas is not only the best point guard to ever do it. Where is Oscar Robertson on this list? That's the bigger picture. That is the more telling picture. So he got what he wanted. He got me talking about the show because I'm going to talk about this show right now. This is what I told them, and I withdrew myself from working with the show. I can't work for this show. First of all, they can't afford me. That's not going to work. You can't say we're going to pay you $1,000 an episode for 2 episodes a week. We have you on 2 episodes a week, and we're paying you $1,000. I'll be hell. My plane flight would be $1,000. Damn near going back and forth for the hotel. What the hell would I do that for? That's not worth my time. It really isn't. So I'm like, I won't be able to do that. I won't do that. That's not what I'm going to be able to do. No, that's not how this works. But just so y'all would know, that's not even in the stratosphere. Isiah Thomas was hated by the media after they were beating Boston, and then they became the bad boy Pistons. They became not the favorites of the league. So, of course, they were going against Isiah Thomas. Then Joe Dumars became the one that they liked. They were like, well, Jordan likes Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars is a nice guy. We like him. So it was a popularity contest. The media, sports writers and media, still to this day, controls all NBA. So it's all politics, Gilbert Arenas. Your play doesn't dictate you getting there. There's plenty of players who were all NBA and didn't get there. Like when Donovan Mitchell was all NBA and didn't make it when his team was number 1 in the NBA and he was the best player from his team and he did not make all NBA, which screwed him out of 30-40 million dollars. So when you see these type of decisions made and people are saying, why are the sports writers having control when they don't even play the game? Most of these dudes ain't never dribble a basketball a day in their life. Couldn't tell you an X and an O, and they're playing with players' futures in their livelihood. You taking 30-40 million dollars out of an athlete's home? I'm basing it off of his own determination of why Isiah Thomas isn't. He's basing it off of what the media has determined Isiah Thomas to be. Gilbert Arenas based this off of all NBA appearances when he made 5 in a row. In his years when they were most successful, he didn't make a list at all. And you don't think that something was weird there? Michael Jordan came. Once Jordan came on the list, Isiah Thomas was being pushed off of the list. They wanted to put Michael and Magic right by each other. To the year that they made Magic and Michael in the NBA Finals, when they cheated the Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Trailblazers were the best team in basketball that year. They were the best team in basketball that year. They had just lost to the Detroit Pistons, and they came back that next year and was destroying everybody. Duckworth had lost weight, made the All-Star team. They had all 3 of them in the West. They went against the Lakers, and they cheated the hell out of the Portland Trailblazers to put Magic Johnson in the NBA Finals against Michael Jordan. They fed him to Michael Jordan. They wanted Jordan and Magic. I get it. That made a lot more sense. And they told Portland, hey, chill. We got you next year. Don't get mad. Yeah, we cheated the hell out of you, but we got you. Don't worry about it. We got you. Zeke spoke out about his nonsense about his 80s players. Gilbert Arenas always has this thing about 80s players. Here's the thing about Gilbert Arenas, though. He doesn't know 80 players. He was born in 82. Gil is a baby. He doesn't know about the Jordan era. He don't know about the 80s. He was 10 years old when Jordan won his second championship. He knows about the 90s. Right. He was a backseat baby when Isiah Thomas and the Pistons was winning championship. What was he watching from the backseat? He didn't watch those games. He knows nothing about the bad boy Pistons. He's in the backseat of a car. T said, but T, you from Detroit. You can't escape it. You from the D. He's a valley, but he's from the valley. He stayed out that way. So this is the publicity his show wanted to get. It's going to get it, because I have no problem in taking this apart when you make that type of analogy.
Thomas. First of all, overrated.
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke.
Overrated?
Let it be known, Zeke. Let it be known, Zeke.
Okay.
Y'all got Zeke. Hey.
12-time All-Star.
You statistically overrated, or you about
12-time All-Star.
You was just a Detroit fan. You
12
know you
He
can.
was.
I'm a
He
Detroit
was.
Pistons fan.
No, you cannot
Talk
go there talking
about
about Detroit like that. You cannot go
Brandon,
to Detroit talking about.
talk about it.
No.
12-time All-Star, right? That means you're an All-Star. You're a top 24 player, right? You're a 5-time All-NBA player, meaning you wasn't top 15, but 5 times in the NBA.
They didn't like my attitude. They didn't like my attitude. I had
Michael Jordan didn't like me. Michael Jordan didn't like
But
me.
you make All-Star
Exactly.
game. Michael Jordan ain't got nothing to do with you being
Because
All-NBA.
fans vote.
They ain't like
No,
me.
fans vote for All-Star.
My attitude.
Your play votes you as All-NBA. He was only a 5-time. So most All-Stars, like Chris Paul, you're 11-time,
Keep
11 times.
Keep going.
11-time, 11 times.
Does anyone feel Chris Paul was an 11-time All-NBA point guard? I don't think he was 11 times. even though he got the award because they like Chris Paul. It's all a politics game. Isiah Thomas was president of the Players Union the entire time he played in the NBA. He was president, and that's voted on by the players. So anybody they think the players hated on Isiah Thomas, Michael Jordan definitely kept voting him in to be president of the Players Union. Michael Jordan did not contest Isiah Thomas being president of the Players Union. They loved the job he did there. So he was president of the Players Union all until he decided to give it up to Buck Williams when he retired. So Buck Williams became president of the Players Union after Isiah Thomas. Now, when Isiah Thomas was president of the NBA's Players Union through that whole span, right? All of a sudden, Chris Paul is the same thing. He gets 11 times in because the sports media don't like you because of what you were doing on the court. You were winning, and y'all were the bad boy Pistons, and they hated it. It's about Michael Jordan, and you guys are standing in Jordan's way. No way Isaiah's going to be on the all-time or the all-NBA teams. But you know what? Isiah didn't care about that, bro. He cared about championships, winning. That's what separates the greats from the average. Chris Paul couldn't win. He always folded. He got hurt. He was never there. His play is good. He's going to have the numbers. But outside the numbers, those where the greats live. Magic, Isiah, those guys lived there. Oscar Robertson, they lived outside the numbers. They made the triple-double because of Oscar Robertson. He had won it and averaged a triple-double about 5 years in a row. He had it about 3 more years before they even started doing it. And then when he had it for 5 years, they were like, man, he had it for 5 years. He was doing it before they started doing it. About 4 years average for that. It was nothing for him to average a triple-double. But he wasn't thinking, let me get a triple-double every night. It didn't exist. He was playing the game. This is where communication and all this stuff gets lost.
All right, keep going.
Y'all going with the safe.
Like Jason, like Ray Allen, right? You got 11-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. That means you were only top 15 2 times in your career. That means you're not a dominant person.
You said Zeke is overrated. Keep going.
5 times.
But that's
5 times.
2 teams at the.
He said he was overrated.
Y'all going with Clifford. Y'all going with Clifford.
2 teams.
Still 5 farm guy.
When John Stockton did it, John Stockton was 11. John Stockton is a 10-time All-Star.
You said
Listen to what I'm saying.
overrated.
Listen to what I'm saying. 10-time All-Star.
You're a Detroit Pistons fan.
10-time All-Star in the same era. 10-time All-Star, but an 11-time All-NBA player. That means he didn't get voted by the fans, but still made the All-NBA team 11 times. 12 and 5, 10 and 11. Like, what are we talking about?
We're talking about Zeke being overrated.
Chris Paul ain't better than Russell Westbrook.
Who?
And James Harden.
Get the fuck out of here.
Shit, no.
You're crazy as hell.
All right.
You're crazy as hell.
Overrated.
Yeah, all right.
To be a top 3? Where? What did you do?
He won 2 championships.
Okay,
What did he do?
won 2 championships.
What did he do?
He led the team.
No, he did not lead. He led him once.
Okay.
He was a Finals MVP one time.
Okay.
No
He
Dumas was the
didn't lead.
second.
He didn't lead the team.
One.
Okay.
There's 2, right?
Gilbert, he didn't lead the team.
Who was the best player on the team? Who was the main guy? Joe Dumars, right?
No.
Oh, Isiah
What are you
Thomas.
telling me? You're trying not to
Yeah,
get it.
he's trying
You're
to-
trying
The
not
stats
to
show it.
Ain't
The
no
stats.
stats.
This is not getting.
He's the leader.
I am not guessing.
Now, the best player on the team is Joe Dumars. Compared to Gilbert Arenas, Joe Dumars is the greatest player on the team. Joe Dumars, and like everybody around him is trying to save him. Everybody is trying to save this man. They're saying you are trying to find a way not to give it to Isiah Thomas. They're telling him. Severely underrated. That's what I'm saying. If Isiah Thomas was overrated, they would not be sitting here talking about how he didn't make the dream team. If Gilbert Arenas is correct about John Stockton being there, nobody would be complaining and talking about it 30 years from now. They would have said, well, Stockton made it. So what's the problem? Stockton was better. Because everybody in the world know that John Stockton isn't better than Isiah Thomas. Anybody who watched basketball. See, this when that clickbait got to stop. This when that clickbait got to stop. Because you doing a disservice to yourself. You doing a disservice to everybody who played the game. That's the lamest thing I've heard. He says Isiah Thomas is overrated, but put the most overrated player of all time in his top 5 point guards, LeBron James. Come on now. Really? Now, how can we take this seriously?
I am not guessing.
It's like you saying Andre Iguodala was
We're
the
talking about-
man
I am
that
not
won
guessing.
for
I am not guessing.
Oh, yeah, it's fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. We're only using this for commentary purposes. We're not airing the whole broadcast.
On what he did. He was a 12-time All-Star, top 24. But when it came down to the top 15 players, he only made it 5 times.
You said he's
How can
overrated. You said he's overrated.
All
Gil.
NBA? There's only 2 teams at that. Okay, All NBA.
You said he was
All
overrated.
NBA. That means there's 2 other players that was beating him out. There was 2 point guards beating him out
Doesn't
every
mean
year.
he's overrated.
To be top 3, but you have John Stockton, top 2, but he was a top 10 player. That makes it even worse. That means Zeke wasn't a top 10 player. But only 5
To
times.
the players? To the players?
Only 5 times.
To the players? So all the players agree?
Dig right the league.
Think about what I'm
Right, he
saying.
didn't dig right.
5 times. We were talking about
He was left off the
Who was
fucking
the other
dream
point-
team
who was
because he didn't shake a nigga's hand, and you're talking about all NBA team.
You know
What the fuck are we talking about, bro? We
Rashad McCants is telling him the truth. He was left off the dream team because he didn't shake a dude's hand. What are we talking about? What are we talking about, Gil? What are we talking about? This is a man that was left off the dream team because he didn't shake a man's hand, and you think they gave him a fair assessment and shot when it came down to breaking down the numbers. The players don't matter. It's what they voted in. This is what we talk about all the time, people. He must want to fire up a beef. Because this take makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. Seriously, it is so far egregiously bad. This whole take. And it's built up off of hate on Isiah Thomas because Isiah Thomas came in and talked about his lunacy of his statement that he made before prior.
left him off a legendary team because he didn't shake a nigga's hand.
That's championship.
So how many all NBA teams were he left off because he didn't shake the nigga's hand?
That was after.
It don't matter.
After.
He's still
That was in the 90s.
He still is
He
not.
played in the 80s.
Zeke is Zeke.
He played in the 80s.
Zeke is
The
Zeke.
handshake is in the 90s. That means Bird, that means Magic, and John Stockton was in front of this man the whole time. So when the careers is over with, how the fuck do you put him in front of John Stockton? How?
By putting him in front of John Stockton. Just that. You see how I just did that?
You did, but you-
How do you put him in front? How do you put him in front of John Stockton? Easy, by putting him in front of John Stockton, just like that. See how I just did that right there? Way to go, Rashad McCants. Way to go. Way to go, man. That was just nonsense. You see how I did that there? By just putting him in front of John Stockton. No, John Stockton cannot shoot the ball better than Isiah Thomas. Stop. When the game comes down to win and lose, and Karl Malone ain't got it that night, John Stockton can't go give you that 25. John Stockton averages about 12 points a game, 13 points a game. Isiah can give you 25 with a 10. This dude's going to give you, in his best game, 16 points. You're not going to get John Stockton to take over a game. It's like, stop it. Isiah had to be the guy down the stretch to come down there and win big games. I love Joe Dumars, but Joe wasn't that guy down the stretch. Down the stretch, it was Zeke. You don't know how the Pistons ran their organization. That's how it happened. It was horrible. And it was all built off the fact Gilbert Arenas has a disdain for Isiah Thomas. That's because Isiah Thomas is who he is. When he made that other take about the Pistons and everything else and went viral, the Detroit Pistons organization was very livid with Gilbert Arenas basically condemning Isiah the way he was. So Isiah made this statement known. He said, "My brother Gilbert Arenas, with all due respect, we at the Detroit Pistons and I played against and beat Magic, Kareem, Bird, and Jordan. We also made it possible for you and the rest of your brothers to now travel on private planes and stay in 5-star hotels. Let it be known." This is when he started talking about the bad boy Pistons. So he's always...
You did Larry Bird and Magic. You didn't, right? They ran the 80s, right? You had a 2-year window, which, let me remind people, you had an advantage over everybody in those 2 years. See, no one knows Detroit Pistons were the first team to have their own private plane.
Yeah, we did know that. They also were the first team to do damn near everything in the NBA. First stretch 5. Everything they doing now is based off the Detroit Pistons. Michael Malone just won a championship. His father was on the bad boy Piston team. They coach his team the same way we coached our team. Post-ups, Gil. See, this is something you don't understand. The bad boy Pistons are still running things. Isiah Thomas is running the Phoenix Suns. Son, do you understand what we doing here? We run things. We run this league. You didn't know that till you was watching me. And you heard me say it over and over again. We were the first team staying in 5-star hotels. Not Magic, not Bird. Isiah and the Pistons were. Sir, we were bigger than the game. We were the one. Nelson Mandela came to the United States. He came to Detroit. and chill with Isiah now. He ain't chill with Jordan. We were the ones. We changed the game. We were the first team. Yeah, everybody got a city jersey now. You know why the NBA got city jerseys and everybody got a third color? You only had 2 colors back then. You only had 2. Do you know why they started making other jerseys? Because we were the only team who had an identity wearing another jersey. We had bad boy gear that wasn't licensed by the NBA. So the city got to eat. Everybody was making and manufacturing their own bad boy jerseys and putting them out. We weren't rocking the Detroit Piston gear. We were rocking bad boy gear. Bad boy Pistons. We had our own identity. People on the streets was making bootlegs, selling bad boy stuff here and there. Boom, 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 boom. The city was eating, baby. No team in the NBA can say that. They did anything, and now they coming up with this city crap. Oh, look, get your city jersey. We're the land. Get your fake ass out of here. We started all that. Hammer time. Let's get it understood. Back to back. Hammer time. Yeah, they didn't know that. I had the hoodie with the 2 hammers crossed back to back, 89 and 90s. Y'all didn't know about that. We was rocking Raiders gear. The Raiders sent us gear because the league was against us, and you want to sit there and tell us about who John Stockton was better than Isiah. Man, get the hell out of here. Ain't nobody believing that craziness but you. The league was against us. We knew it. Dog, you can get a prime rib. It don't matter. We had Boston beat in 87. If Isiah didn't throw the bad pass, they were beat then. So what is you talking about? They were beat then. They were one bad pass away from losing. If Isiah don't throw a bad pass there to Lambert, they win. Vinnie Johnson and what's his name got knocked out in that game, which caused Vinnie Johnson and Adrian Dantley ran into each other, headbutted each other, and both of them was asleep on the court. Well, Adrian Dantley was asleep. So he couldn't return to the game. So that's what led to this turnover. But they should have called the timeout. Yeah, Isiah has always been the one to let it be known. So when you mention the greatest players of all time, when you say somebody is absolutely the absolute best at what they do, can we absolutely say John Stockton in his best was better than Isiah Thomas? No. He couldn't. When the other players in the league know, even Michael Jordan, who can't stand him, said Magic Johnson is number 1 behind him is Isiah Thomas. No matter how much I hate him, I got to respect this game. So if Michael Jordan is telling you, the one who was the main enemy of him was telling you, I hate him, but he was right behind Magic. because that guy right there, a 6-foot guard, he's 6 foot tall, Gil, and he dominated the NBA at 6 foot tall. So before he had Lambert, before he had Joe Dumars, Isiah Thomas was all-time MVP. I mean, all-time NBA without Joe Dumars, before Joe even got there. So what the hell are you talking about? Mark Price was good, but Mark Price, I mean, he's not an elite point guard. He's not like the best of all time. If you had to put like best 10, best, he would be in there, but he wasn't a guy that could get past the numbers. He wasn't a guy that's going to lead you to a championship. He's not going to come up big when you need him to. This is why Michael Jordan and them always beat them. They didn't have anybody that could come up and beat them player for player. They didn't have that X factor. Whenever the Bulls got close to beat the Detroit Pistons, Isiah Thomas was that X factor. He was the difference maker. Yeah, I stood up to Isiah. He's a little bit taller than me. So I'm 5'11" on the nose. So he's got to be 6 foot. Isiah is like 6. It's like 6 feet tall. I'm 5'11" on the nose. Oh yeah, the Palace Vision, yeah, and have all the like the streaming service. Yeah, he was the first one to do that. Look, we are trendsetters here. We're trendsetters. They're not trendsetters. They don't know how to do this. This is what we do. We set the trends. Everybody's doing pin downs. Pin downs wasn't in the NBA till Isiah Thomas brought it in when he was coaching the Indiana Pacers. And let's go to this. Let's shift back to this guy who came here earlier. Remember I said I was going to get back to you, homie? Oh, you thought I forgot about you. No, buddy, we did not forget about you. I told you we'll be back for you. You go nowhere. I was doubling back for you. I came back for you. You started to talk about Isiah Thomas, and you said Isiah Thomas was a horrible GM. So Gil was right, because Isiah was a horrible GM. So he's a Knicks guy too. His logo was the Jets, Knicks. So he's used to being in obscurity. There you go. Then he said Jordan got dunked on. Thomas got dunked on by Jordan all the time. Well, Jordan didn't win the game, so how much did that dunk really mean? So Capo NYC, you up. It is now your time. Yeah, because Capo seemed to not understand. Let's go through what was actually happening there. Capo might be too young to understand. I'm trying to think. When did trying to think, what season did Isiah get there? Do anybody remember what season Isiah got there? T said 2001, Isiah got to the Knicks. Okay. Okay, so it was 2003. 2003, 2004. Right? Because Scott Layton was the general manager. Now, let's take a look at this. Look at that. The 2002-2003 roster for the New York Knicks. Let's see what y'all had then. Okay, so before Isiah got there, y'all were 37 and 45. Who was y'all roster? Shandon Anderson, Michael Doliak, Howard Isley, Othello Harrington, Allen Houston, Travis Knight, Lee Nayland, LeVar Polstel, Latrice Sprewell, Kurt Thomas, Charlie Ward, Charlie Witherspoon, rather, Frank Williams. So that's who y'all got. The next year, Isiah comes in the middle of this season, and he's shadowing Scott Layton because he's getting ready to take over. Herb Williams is now one of the coaches. He coached one game after they fired the coach and went to a whole new regime. Right? This Knicks team was 39 and 43. And this year is still not the year Isiah Thomas takes over. He's shadowing. So you had Shandon Anderson, Vin Baker. Look at all these people that Isiah was bringing in here. This is basically Isiah's first year, but not really his first year. And they get to the playoffs this year. And they lost in the first round in a sweep to the New Jersey Nets in one of the games they should have won. But they weren't even supposed to make the playoffs this year. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Look how many players was revolved in and thrown out. Shandon Anderson, Vin Baker, Doliak, Howard Isley. Penny Hardaway is now here. Isiah brought in Penny Hardaway. Who's the next player he brought in? Stephon Marbury. He brought in Antonio McDyess. Now, here's the bigger problem. The Sprewell deal didn't go through with the Knicks. That had nothing to do with Isiah Thomas. That had something to do with previous management. And he was a free agent. And because he made that remark, David Stern made that a section that he's not going to be back with the Knicks. So that already hurt the Knicks. So Nazir Muhammad was brought in, who played at Kentucky, who's also from Chicago. He went to school with me. He was younger than me, though. I was in class with his older brother. Dikembe Mutombo was brought to the team. Tim Thomas was brought in with Kurt Thomas. Keith Van Horn was brought to the team. So Isiah is already bringing in pieces to the team when you guys had trash. Okay. The next year, Lenny Wilkins is the coach. They got Jamal Crawford in here now. Isiah is taking over full control of the team. So now you have Shandon Anderson still on there. You got Trevor Ariza on your team as a rookie. Isiah drafts Trevor Ariza from UCLA. Yep, a lot of you guys thought he got drafted by the Lakers. I know. They still got the Vin Baker contract to get rid of. They got Jackie Butler that came in as a center. You got Jamal Crawford, Penny Hardaway, Allen Houston, this incredible, crazy contract that was there before Isiah got there. Jermaine Jackson from Detroit Mercy was on there. Stephon Marbury, Nazir Muhammad, Moochie Norris was brought in. Malik Rose, who played at Drexel, who ended up being a key for the San Antonio Spurs, holding down Shaq when they beat them. Mike Sweetney, Maurice Taylor, who played at Michigan and, tractor trailer. Kurt Thomas, Tim Thomas, and Jerome Williams. The junkyard dog. The next year, more established, reducing salaries and reducing the cap. Now you're getting some of these bad contracts out of there. Ben Baker's gone. See, this is a general manager's job, is to reduce the salary cap and what you're spending out and not getting anything. But now you got a player that isn't playing anymore, who just up and retired, which was Allen Houston. Allen Houston was paid all the way for years and just sucking money out of the Knicks because he had an injury contract, just like they had with Larry Johnson. Both of them was on the books for 20 years, getting paid millions of dollars by the Knicks. Now, look at this play-by-play salary. Look, he's not on the team no more, but he's getting $19 million, Allen Houston. So this is what's sucking up all of your money, is the Allen Houston deal. Look, he's not on the roster. Houston is injured, but he's guaranteed to get that $19 million of his salary. Steph's getting 16, Penny's getting 15 million. Antonio Davis is getting 13 million. He used to play for Indiana. Y'all got him on the team now. Jamal Crawford is getting 6 million. Look at this. All these reduced. David Lee, you get for nothing. You got Trevor Ariza, who's on a rookie contract. You got Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes coming in, getting $131,000. So Matt Barnes is in the NBA right now playing with Isiah Thomas. Kid you not. You see? So look at what he had to deal with, and look at what he had beforehand, and look at what you had to work with now. Right. Isiah Thomas teamed up Trevor Ariza and Matt Barnes. They both was at UCLA. You see that? This is why he put them together, so that could be a backcourt in the future. Those guys, not backcourt, but front court, backcourt, you could move them around. They were combo guards. He was looking for big guards, not little guards, because everybody was going small. They wanted to go big. And he felt, we go big, we'll be able to dominate over these little guys because our big guys will be able to defend. But they had the wrong coach in place. So Isiah was the coach and the general manager because Larry Brown was in charge. And Larry Brown ruined the New York Knicks. So you had a bad coach. Everybody hated the coach. So Isiah had to come back and coach this year in 2006 and 07. And his mother was dying. So this wasn't a good time for him. Eddie Curry, they got him from the Bulls. Jamal Crawford was brought in. He had to do 2 roles. You got Ronaldo Blockman from South Carolina, should have never been drafted. Stephon Marbury, Rudolph Morris, Q Richardson, Nate Robinson, Malik Rose, Steve Francis was brought in. Jamal Crawford, Penny Hardaway is gone. So now you got Francis for Hardaway, basically, and you still got Marbury as your starter. So let's look at the salaries. Francis is getting 15, so it was a trade-off. 17 now. Allen Houston has now been put on the injury reserve, so now it takes him off the books of the salaries. So now that 19 million frees up a lot of space. So now look how reduced these salaries are now. Nobody's going up in salary, really. See, they're gone. And now Matt Barnes is gone. And so is Matt Barnes is gone, and so is Trevor Ariza. So for when you say he's a bad executive, he freed up money so y'all would be able to get Carmelo Anthony down the road. He's trimming the books. Even in his era where he's leaving the team, look at what y'all had previously on the court. Y'all had Penny Hardaway. Y'all had Zach Randolph, Quentin Richardson, Nate Robinson, Malik Rose, Stephon Marbury, David Lee, Fred Jones, Jarrett Jeffries, Jerome James, Eddie Curry, Jamal Crawford, Marty Collins, Winston Chancellor. All of these guys who are coming in this league right now were major contributors or a main piece. Like Jarrett Jeffries was good. David Lee was good. You know, Zebo, you know, Q Richardson was good. Nate Robinson, great. You see what I'm saying? It's just that you got to give it time to develop. And when you keep changing coaches and general managers, they come in with new philosophies. They don't know some of these players. So they'll get rid of them and send them to other teams. The Knicks' problem was organization. They didn't know how to stick and have anything put in place and stay solid to the plan. I blame Larry Brown for a lot of it. He didn't know how to coach today's talent. And yesterday's talent wanted to kill him. Then they hired Mike D'Antoni. Then it really started to go to hell. And look at this. There was a whole spearhead of people on here that didn't make no sense. So you can't blame Zeke for that. That is a very true statement. An extremely true statement. Everybody list on the show had Isiah Thomas on the list. Rashad McCants didn't even have Magic Johnson on the list. He had Stockton, Nash, Chris Paul, Isaiah, and Jason Kidd. That was his list.
All of them. I left.
There's Gil's list. LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Chris Paul. Thank you. I appreciate that. So from a basketball perspective, you know, I had to challenge it. You know, I had to go bring out the Pistons 11, get the real jersey up here. Had to let it be known. I don't normally break out the gold. I normally don't break out the gold now. If I break out the gold, it's to be known. So he put LeBron James ahead of Isiah Thomas, and he doesn't even play the position. Isiah Thomas is nowhere near the leader in turnovers. His assist to turnover ratio is terrible at the point guard position. And that's just insanity to say that Isiah Thomas was overrated. It just shows you your knowledge of the game is very minute at this point. And you are inept at doing this job. You know, instead of looking at a little balled up piece of paper, you should actually have a thought it out, more concise show than just coming up with something moronic and just going off the hip. This is why the show isn't that good and it is failing. It could have worked. That's the thing. This show could have worked. But this is why I cannot work with this show. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I told Gil, take my name out of the conversation of us working together, doing something like that. I'm out. I'm not gonna do it $1,000 episode. Sorry. You can get the crackheads for that. That's low ball for me. So can't do it. I'm out. I wouldn't do it for 10,000 episodes right now because the show is bad. So it's not where it should be. That's the problem. It's not where it should be. It should be a better show than what it is. It has the potential to be a better show. It's just the certain decisions that they're making on the show right now don't make any sense. And I know what those decisions are. No, a lot of people won't like the decisions I would make to make the show better, but it would work. I guarantee you the show would be better. The views would be better. The views would be real. The comments would be real. You would have a real show. So on that note, we'll leave y'all to it. And I'm out. Deuces. Don't forget to go to the Patreon, man. We got a Patreon version to that to the Michael Jordan, Floyd Mayweather story that's from last night. Patreon version is a little bit more real, a little bit more raw. So we're going to go to that.